I tend to make reviews on my account in IMDb of movies and TV shows that speak to me, whether the movie transmitted a sense of wholesomeness, sadness, happiness, or any other. So generally, if the movie caused a reaction on my part. So imagine my surprise when I watched the first season of that really good show everybody's been talking about, that was released before the impending doom of society as we know it.
Tonight at 11.
Doom!
I post my review in IMDb, and in only 1 month, it reaches 100 likes? Or helpfulness,
Fucking hell, really?
More to go.
helpfulness, votes, whatever. So it made me think, perhaps what I say can be of interest for everyone. From minute one, something was off. Like, off in a good way. This show was produced by Disney, the same people behind the recent controversial Trilogy. And so I was adamant. I had very little faith in the new treatment and direction of this franchise, but I can't deny the fact that some aspects of the new trilogy felt right and worthy of Star Wars. They weren't all misses, but as a movie buff that I am, and longtime Star Wars fan that grew up with the prequels and loved the original trilogy, I read up on the people who'd be behind this show. And I haven't looked back since then. Because it's one thing to bring back elements, characters, settings, and stories, and to flash them in front of the audience to cash in on the nostalgia and recognizable memorabilia, but without using it to further the plot, and other to do exactly the opposite. It was about time that Star Wars directives understood that it is too unique a product to be lent to corporate filmmakers. Star Wars needs to be understood, and its uniqueness has to be acknowledged in order to make the new stories feel like they belong. This may sound too obvious, but if you ever wondered why the new Star Wars movies are so controversial, this may be the reason. Like with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and their comic book industry experts' participation, the creators behind the Mandalorians were experts of the industry, connoisseurs of the Star Wars universe, and even longtime fans. So they were able to not only recapture the aesthetic of the grimy, battered Star Wars, but also build upon it, taking the most subtle things into account. Things like the predominancy of puppets and practical effects over CGI, and the abundancy of not only elements previously seen in Star Wars, but a whole batch of new creatures, designs, and overall plot elements that felt like they belonged to this universe and had always been there. Exceeding expectations are not only the visual aspects, but the narrative too. It might be too late for some story elements now, but it is of great importance that from now on you try to watch the unraveling of the story unspoiled. I was lucky to have seen the premiere of the show before the mimification of a certain element that went viral and became one of the biggest highlights of the show. But for me, I saw the reveal of this element unspoiled, and I was pleasantly shocked, a memory I'll always carry with me. The ability of these creators to generate such shock value and deep moments is often baffling to me. This is proof that the creators behind the narrative are fully aware of the complexities of the universe they are tampering with. And like an experienced surgeon, they are able to tweak, traverse, and call back any Star Wars element as they please, and with astonishing results. It seems to be obvious that series creator Jon Favreau turns to gold everything he touches. From his influence in the MCU with the first Iron Man movie, still regarded today as a favorite among the Infinite Marvel movies, to the remarkable and commercially successful live-action Jungle Book and Lion King Disney movies. He seems to understand how to treat a franchise not by exploiting the nostalgia aspects, but rather use them to fuel new stories and revive the experience. Not to mention the contributors to this amazing show hype up the expectations and the quality of the show. From beloved names like Taika Waititi to legendary Star Wars showrunner Dave Filoni, the show today is in the most capable hands possible. Despite everything it does right, I have found some things that distance me from it. It is merely one small and almost inevitable aspect I don't think a huge lore such as Star Wars can escape from. Something that makes the world building so real, but at the same time makes you miss out on things, and that is the subtle callbacks and references found on names and other elements. This is an aspect that non-Star Wars lore fans, in which I have to identify myself as, even though I have read and know some of the deeper lore, will not like or get, as they are cast aside for not picking up or straight up know these references. If people don't know what a Gungan is, they won't get the joke, "You are as ugly as a Gungan," for instance.
Huh. I wonder what you look like under there. Maybe he's a Gungan. Is that why you so don't want to show your face?
And this is becoming particularly worrying when it comes to the Clone Wars and Rebels shows callbacks, which seem to be slowly becoming recurrent narrative fueling devices. which I am completely fine with, but which, had I not known who these characters were and their significance in the show, I would be completely confused about. I understand what the creators are trying to do, given Dave Filoni was behind those 2 cartoon shows, and I'm aware the stories they told are canon and officially part of Star Wars. And I know it's hard to appeal to both fans of Star Wars, so this becomes sort of a double-edged sword, where callbacks might service the story, but without the background knowledge of the lore, you might not get the full picture of the sequence and the significance of some of the actions of these characters. People might miss out on them, and that's a damn shame. But in the long run, that is the best option, as that will encourage the audience to learn more about the lore by watching Clone Wars and Rebels, for instance. And besides, it doesn't seem to be damaging the show anyways, as people don't seem to be that bothered with it. And that's because these guys know what they are doing. The story can be followed and understood because it feels self-contained, and you don't need to know much about the Star Wars status quo at the time, other than, in simplified terms, an empire ruled over the galaxy and now it's over. In this world there are mercenaries that adhere to a code among themselves. There's a magical energy flowing through all of us called the Force. There's a group of Force-wielding knights that fight with light swords, and that's about it. Anything else you need to know, it is presented in the story or explained through exposition, which in a huge universe that is Star Wars, it is a must in order to be able to tell a story worthy of Star Wars. Now by the time I'm making this video, Season 2 is not over yet, so I don't want to get ahead of myself and tackle it. So from now on, I'm going to refer to Season 1 and why it gets Star Wars right. And also, even if story-wise they fuck up or they stray away in the future, hopefully these things will still be prevalent for the sake of the show. As for the show itself, these are some of the most predominant reasons why The Mandalorian gets Star Wars right. Reasons I believe stand out among many others the show has. And this is also a warning, there might be mild spoilers ahead of Season 1. So let's jump right into it. The treatment of the Force. Long gone were the days when the Force had nothing new to teach us. It seemed we had seen it all, and had witnessed it being reduced to a superpower the Jedi's used to move objects. But perhaps the biggest aspect that seemed to bring controversy is the treatment of the Force as this quantifiable and immutable force presented in the prequels. However, the most successful Star Wars stories have not treated it as such, despite the fact that this new addition was provided by its own creator, George Lucas. In fact, the most successful Star Wars stories have expanded on the capabilities of the Force, still considering a mystified and intangible energy that lives in all of us and that binds the universe together. The Mandalorian takes place post-Empire, which means the Force has started to be known across the galaxy thanks to the legend of Luke Skywalker, auguring the return of the Jedi Knights. Therefore, treating the Force used by the so-called Baby Yoda as a powerful and non-understanding power, but in fact recognized by some who have heard of it, is a genius move, as it makes it magical and uncharted still. A long-lost ethereal power that exists beyond our comprehension. The Force should be something we don't fully understand yet, nor people in-universe will fully understand either. By allowing the Force to be pure and uncharted, there's room for more creative uses of it, that when done right, can provide elevated moments. This is shown especially in episodes 7 and 8 of Season 1, where by using terms like a group of sorcerers called Jedi, or I have heard of this power, or I have seen him move things with its mind, makes the Force more mystified and bewildering. The puppetry. Say whatever you want about the incredible alien, prop, and set designs of other Star Wars mainstream media. You know, TV shows, video games, movies, with some really good exceptions of course. But I am one to believe that generally, the main reason why none of the later Star Wars media released after the original trilogy were really embraced by everyone as part of the universe was because the feel of the world we were seeing was not the same. Star Wars stood out from sci-fi like Star Trek and other more clean and smooth worlds by building a grimy, run-down, and almost post-apocalyptic set and prop design, with a huge contrast of advanced technology. So when The Mandalorian brought it back, not only by imitating the set character designs and such, but by expanding upon those using new imagery and creating new alien species that fit with that new world, it was a display of world understanding beyond any new incorporations Abrams, Johnson, and even good old George Lucas had ever brought a post-original trilogy. By bringing back puppets, practical effects, and makeup, it shows and it gives you the satisfaction of knowing in 30 years it will still hold up because they are physical things, tangible by the actors, And even though Baby Yoda moves and when grabbed looks like a sack of potatoes, you don't mind because you know it exists. It is there. You can hold it. I'll take your fully functioning puppet over the best CGI, because the truth is, in some years, the CGI will have improved so much, you'll start to see the cracks when looking back. Cinematic special effects for a TV show. This may be known for those who keep up with Star Wars news or that have watched the Mandalorian documentaries on Disney+. But the innovative tech used for the background and other special effects is almost revolutionary and provides a high quality that resembles that of a cinematic film. I am one to say that this all started thanks to the success of the Game of Thrones TV show, who pioneered the use of really good effects and a bigger budget to bring sci-fi and fantasy shows to life. I have praised the use of puppetry and other practical effects, but I'm not denying the use of CGI and other special effects to enhance the experience. I just commend them from prioritizing the use of theater props above temporary CGI, as this can get outdated pretty fast. In conclusion, there's no denying The Mandalorian is heading in the right direction and is a worthy sequel to the original trilogy, maintaining the same aesthetic, themes, and recognizable elements, but providing new and incredible ideas that amount to the incredible universe that is Star Wars. If they are able to keep it up, it'll become one of the best Star Wars media to come in its history. Disney Star Wars seems to know what it's doing now after stumbling a couple of times, and I commend them for it. Star Wars isn't an easy franchise to expand and continue, despite the amount of stories that are left to be told. You know the saying, nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. But I praise the work done by everyone involved.
Say the line, Bart!
This is the way.